welcome to Cool Camera Corner. In this brand new series I take a look at old cameras that I happen to find interesting and cool. Some of them are genuine classics and have rightfully earned their place in history. Others were just ordinary cameras that people once used every day without thinking anything of, but in all cases they can still be used today to take fantastic photographs. So without further ado, let's have a look at today's camera.
Cool, right, so in this episode we're going to be having a look at a very illustrious camera. It's the Olympus OM-4. Those of you that want to look at some other Olympus cameras, you can have a look on the screen here, just in that sort of bit of the screen that bit there, and you can have a look at the comparison video that we did the other day with the Leica and the OM1, and we'll be making some direct camera comparisons between those cameras during this video. But I want to introduce Ollie, who's a good friend of mine and a fantastic photographer and camera collector, and this is your own camera, I believe.
This is another one of my babies. It's I think this is actually quite an early one. It's had a bit of a hard life, but it works a treat.
Fantastic.
You know, it's nice and reliable. It's taken a beating and it's still snapping away. So.
This is the thing with these Olympus cameras. The build quality of these Japanese cameras was so good. Let's start with a little bit of the history of the OM series, because it was quite an illustrious sort of range of cameras, wasn't it?
Yeah,
starting with the OM1. Now, as I understand it, the OM1 and the OM4 were quite similar, and then there was the OM1 and the OM3 were quite similar, and the 2 and the 4 were different. They were more like they had more sort of bells and whistles and sort of electronics and things like that.
Yeah. Well, so you got the OM1 and the 3, and they're both completely mechanical,
okay.
whereas the 2s and 4s need batteries for the shutters.
Right.
But 1s and 2s are very similar, and 3s and 4s are very similar.
Okay.
So I mean, this is the electronic latest greatest all singing all dancing jelly.
And this is really where the line ended as well, wasn't it? I mean, they got to this. This was the pinnacle, and then there were no more after that. And in fact, really, I mean, after this, it took until the OMD stuff started to come out a couple of years ago before Olympus really got back into making great cameras. And if you look at this and then compare it to the sort of current crop of OMDs, they look indeed very similar, especially in the black bit.
Yeah, well, exactly. And then they've even sort of mimicked the shape of the motor drive there.
Yes, they have, haven't they? Which is good because you get that hand grip on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I've got sort of fairly beefy fingers, so. And they're remarkably small little bodies. Just take that off there, and there's nothing to it.
It's not,
that's it. So
it is very tiny.
It just sort of slips.
Right.
Which is mildly terrifying.
There's no sort of grip naturally with it, is there? But,
no.
And that was the same with the OM1 as well, wasn't it?
All of them. Yeah.
Is that body exactly the same size as the OM1? Is it identical? Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, they just used the same chassis for the whole lot.
Right.
To a greater or lesser extent, they just put more stuff in them.
Excellent. More sort of electronics and clever stuff as it became available in terms of the technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you what, this has got one of the best meters. Speaking of electronics, it's got a superb meter and one of the best I've ever used.
Right.
It's got a sort of a multi-spot.
Okay.
So what you've got is that button there.
Okay.
And as you're shooting, if you've got a sort of a particularly challenging scene, so you've got something over there, they're both backlit.
Right.
But they've both got different lights on them themselves.
Right.
What you can do is aim it at one, hit the spot button, aim at another, hit the spot button there, and it will take an average of those two spots.
That's very clever.
Anything up to 8. And
Isn't that extraordinary? So it remembers what the meter reading was from over there.
Yeah.
That's really clever, because I mean I don't think there's too many modern cameras that have got a similar system, have they? I mean, they might use a different sort of matrix where they maybe do it simultaneously, but this seems very much more like you've got the control over where that average is going to end up depending on what points you select in the frame.
Absolutely. I think a couple of the higher end Canons might have it, 5Ds, 1Ds, but nothing else like this.
No.
And it's absolutely brilliant. You've got little highlight and shadow button there. They're just sort of compensation buttons, effectively.
Okay.
But it just saves you having to sort of stand there and do sort of logarithmic maths.
Yes. Which I don't know about you, Ollie, but for me, I mean, that's not happening.
I'm an engineering student, and that just no. Just no.
It's not going to happen. And I'm not an engineering student, and that's probably why. You know, if you have to do that sort of stuff, I'm going to stick to photography. I think.
Yeah.
Now, the other great thing about the Olympus range of cameras, the OMs, was not only the bodies, but the lenses that came with it as well.
Yeah.
The Zuiko range of lenses that came out with these cameras. It's world renowned. If you've never shot with Zuiko glass, I recommend you go out and do it immediately now. I mean, just shut this video off and go and buy some, because you won't regret it. But talk us through. This is the Zuiko lens on here. Is this the 51.8? Is this?
This is the 1.4.
Oh, it's got the 1.4.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, nice fast glass.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's absolutely stunning. But I mean, the thing is, the entire range of Zuiko, people that can't really terribly well call them Zuikios.
Zuiko, I love
Zuikio,
that. Yeah.
Zuikio. It rolls off the tongue.
It sounds nicer to an English ear. To a Japanese ear, it probably sounds terrible. But
But I mean, the thing is, all of these lenses, we mentioned in the last video, they seem very much like a sort of a family. You know, the glass is all very similar. It's got a very sort of similar fingerprint between the lenses. You know, you shoot with any other system, and you can say, oh, it was shot with that lens, or it was shot with that one. Yeah. I mean, even you shoot a lot of Pentax stuff, don't you?
Yes, I do. And so, very much with those, like the difference between the Takuma lenses, you can tell which focal length you were using, which lens you were using, because they have, although there's a sort of family characteristic to them, you know, the colour profiles differ quite significantly, the contrast profiles, how they handle glare, all that stuff is very different, and even in terms of the, I mean, there's very little chromatic aberration, things like that with them, but just in terms of distortions and things with the lens that you just naturally get, it's not a family in the same way. No. And the nice thing about the Zuiko lenses is that if you are shooting with the entire OM system, it's very easy to keep a consistent style with them, because you know, they do have that similar feel to them, don't they?
Well, absolutely, yeah. No, you're shooting with one of these guys, and with your Pentaxes, maybe even a 50mm f2 and a 1.8, you can say, well, that was shot with that one.
Yes.
Whereas this with these guys, you can't say, oh, that was shot with the 51.4 or 35 2.8 or something. It was shot with a Zuiko.
With a yeah. And they all have this lovely gold coating to them.
Yeah, and, absolutely. Yeah, no, I don't. It's probably a little bit difficult to pick it up there, but no, it's beautiful.
And it's a lovely colour to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and they are very similar between the lenses. And I think that's largely what's responsible for it.
Yeah, I think you're right, and you know, that combined with the ergonomics and the build quality. I mean, this camera is nudging 30 years old now. Yeah. And as you say, it just works. You know, the day it came out of the factory. Absolutely. My OM-1 works exactly the same as the day it came out of the factory, and it will do in another 30 years.
Yeah. Oh no, mate, these will be shooting well after we're gone.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But I mean, you mentioned the ergonomics. It's just some of the little things, like if you've never shot with an OM before, you might not be used to the fact that is your shutter speed. It's brilliant. Everything is just there. You don't need to be sort of mucking around twiddling.
There's no knobs to twiddle, is there? It's all in one place. So you've got shutter speeds,
then
you've got your aperture or focus,
and then you've got your aperture there. And with the zoom lenses, that's all here as well. And then you've got your stop down is there as well. If you want your
preview of a sort of depth of field in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all there. It's all just nicely to hand. You don't need to be mucking around with sort of buttons and levers and knobs and dials and all this sort of thing.
Perfect. The other thing I really like about the OM series is the little rest with the I don't know if this one, maybe this one doesn't do it, but with the OM1 you've got it up, actually cock it first.
Yeah,
you've got you have a little, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but you can hook your thumb underneath the advance lever, like that. And it just makes it a lot more simple, because we were talking without the motor grip, it's quite slippery and will fall out of your fingers. Yeah. But having that little thing there, and I miss that when I'm shooting my Pentax, I do that, and of course it advances the film. And I throw the camera on the ground, which isn't so good.
Not really.
No,
I don't like that very much.
They don't like it a lot, although actually, I mean, the Pentax survives, and I think this probably will as well. Yeah. You chip the tarmac, but you know, other than that, you'll be fine. But you hold it, and it's just nice little touches like that make them so good. Now, the other thing that we've got on the table here is a range of rather interesting lenses. These are the Tamron SP lenses?
Tamron Adaptalls.
Adaptalls?
Yeah.
So talk us through those, because I mean, this is something I wasn't really aware of, and you've got a nice range to talk through here. So.
Well, I mean, first of all, I'd like to start by saying, look, people sort of go out and they'll buy into a camera system. They'll go out and get something, and then after that, all they'll get is lenses by that manufacturer. Yeah. Which isn't necessarily the way forward. They just go, oh well, you know, it's Sigma, Tamron. They just dismiss them out of hand. Not really the case. These guys are every bit as good, and if not better than some of the glass that I've used from original manufacturers. Okay. I mean, and then the other thing is they do actually fill a few gaps. I mean, here I've got the it's an SP 2448. Okay. And it's a 3.5 to 3.8, so more or less a 3.5 constant. Yeah. And it's a nice dinky bit of glass, but you know, it's a really nice sort of usable focal length.
That's lovely, isn't it? And it's a lovely wide front element on there. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of lighting through that, aren't you?
Yeah,
it's absolutely gorgeous.
It's eye-catching as well. So I mean, if you do get somebody that's getting a little bit, you know, I use this for street shooting. And if you do get somebody that's looking at you going, what's going on.
Yeah.
At least with something like this, you sort of look like you're meant to be there. You
Yes.
look a bit more sort of professional, a little bit more sort of refined.
That's a really good point, actually. If you want to have a look at the video up on screen now, what camera is best for street photography, big or small? It's quite an interesting point, because we as street photographers always think, oh, thank you, Ollie. We always think as street photographers that having something very small and discreet is best for street photography. But actually, particularly for women, that's not always the case. If you've got a very tiny camera, they can think you can be, you look a bit sort of
like a bit
pervy.
perverse,
yeah, exactly. Like you're trying to take pictures of them, for nefarious purposes, and it's not the case. But something like that, there's no doubt that you're a photographer and you're a photography fan, because you've got a really nice camera. There's a lovely big bit of glass on there, and it looks the part, doesn't it?
Well, exactly. And if nothing else, it becomes something of a talking point.
Yeah.
People are going, oh, what's that? Oh, well, this is actually quite old, and people are going, oh, well, film, really, you can still get that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And there's something less threatening about a film camera as well. I think, isn't
absolutely,
there?
absolutely. But no, it's a really, really nice usable lens. It's a nice wide angle to just beyond the perfect normal.
Yeah. It's a really usable everyday, especially for street photography. When I shoot at largely 28mm, just because I like that sort of ultra wide thing. I like to get fairly close, but the rest of the time I'll be using either a 35 or a 50, and so this is covering that optimal range for street work, isn't it? And having it all in one relatively light and compact lens is perfect.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, you say relatively light. It's Tamron's weighs a ton.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah. Look, have you felt the weight of this thing?
So look at that.
Right.
You gas.
So
I mean, that's holy cow. I mean, that's pushing a kilo, isn't it?
Thereabouts.
I mean,
you do reps.
Like I'm tired now.
I'll tell you what, we can have one in each arm.
Yeah, exactly. That's extraordinary. I mean, that's getting on for the weight of like a 70 to 200, 280 or something, which is a heavy lens. Wow. I mean, so they didn't skimp on build quality, did they? I mean, they because I think that's another misconception with a lot of Tamron, Sigma, that sort of stuff. Takina, that because it's third-party manufacturers, they're going to, and they're cheaper. They're going to be using cheaper materials, and this very much isn't. This is hewn from sort of brass and iron ore and granite, isn't it? Really, I mean that's a solid.
The rocks of Mount Olympus.
Yes, it is. Yeah, the Pum Ching. I like that.
Yeah, there we go.
Nicely segued there. We're feeling that. So this, talk us through this lens. This is a longer. What have we got here? This is a 92.5. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is 92.5, and it's actually got the 2x teleconverter on it, which makes it a 180.
Wow.
But it's a superb macro. So with just this bit, it's a 1 to 2. But then you stick that guy in there, and it's 180 1 to 1 macro.
Oh, perfect.
Which is great. You lose a couple of stops, but if you're shooting macro, you're not going to be hand holding anyway. So.
No, you're not. That's it. Most of the stuff that you're doing macro shots with isn't going to be moving around so much. And if it is, if you're doing insect work or something like that, these days, I mean, you can get such fine grained fast film. That you can shoot stuff at 1600. Or even 3200, and it actually looks all right.
It's a usable shot.
Yeah, completely. So that's absolutely, and you sacrifice a little bit in light, but there are so many ways around that. You just throw more lights at it.
That's it.
Put some lights on, put some studio lights on, use that.
Yeah.
Talk us through with these Adaptall lenses, what the sort of characteristics of the glass is like. I mean, what do you get in terms of chromatic aberration or barrel distortion or pin cushion? Is there anything like that that's particularly noticeable? Do
you know what? I mean, the 24-48. I've only just got it. It's a fairly sort of recent one, but from what I've seen on it, it's a cracking lens. I mean, the sharpness on this thing throughout, wide open, stop down. It tends to be at its best at sort of f11, but even wide open, the sharpness just sort of draws you in. You can sort of go swimming in the detail.
Lovely.
And with this thing, again, it's wonderfully sharp, and the bokeh on it's actually really nice. So it's a usable portrait lens as well.
Yeah, lovely.
Because there are a lot of macros that they're great at what they do, but they're not terribly flexible.
Yeah.
Whereas this thing was actually marketed as a portrait macro.
Right, that's interesting, isn't it? Because again, I mean, you look at the sort of Nikon stuff, like the 85-1.4, for example. It's or the macro 105 even, and it's it's great at macro, but it's not so good when it comes to doing the portrait stuff because it doesn't have that nice sort of soft bokeh that you want from a portrait lens.
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas with one of these guys, I mean, by all means, go and check out some examples. Read a few reviews on it. But I mean, there are some shots. It's really nice. everything behind and in front are just built.
Perfect. Yeah, fantastic. Well, what we'd like to do, Ollie, if it's possible, is get you on a future show. We'll have some shots when you've we'll have some examples of things that we can put out and talk about those. I know in the future we're going to be doing a TLR episode at some point. It might be when you come back from America or before. We don't know yet, but there'll be one in the future in the pipeline for that. But perhaps at that point we can have some pictures up on screen of having been through put these lenses through their paces. I think there's a lot of people that will be in the same boat as I was, which is not really aware of these. And I mean, talk us through the price. I know the Zuiko stuff. I mean, you can get some really good deals on it, but some of it's now the rarer ones, particularly, they're going up in price. Yeah. Being Tamron, does that keep the price into the lower layers of the stratosphere, or is it getting more expensive now?
People are beginning to sort of take notice of these things.
Right.
And the other beauty of them is the clues in the title, Adaptall. So you can actually sort of take that bit off, and then that's a lens, and then they've got their little sort of adapters on there.
Brilliant.
So you can take off these adapters and you can stick on an FD or a screw 42 or an F mount or whatever you want.
Awesome.
So a lot of people are picking up on this and going, oh well, actually you can get some superb lenses for not a lot of money.
Yeah.
So the prices are on the up and up, but I mean for the 90-5, it's about 100 quid.
I mean, that's not bad, is it? I mean,
for what it is, not superb.
And what new lens from any manufacturer can you buy for 100 quid?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, even the cheap stuff. You know, like I think what's an 1855 kit lens cost from Canon or something now? I mean, it's going to be more than that, I should think, isn't it?
Yeah, somewhere in that territory. Yeah.
You know, and you get these, and it's about having something that's quality. And with these, yes, you have to focus it yourself.
But
But people used to do that, and they were fine with it. I think a lot of photographers now get scared of manual focus because they think, if I miss focus, if it's a little bit off, frankly, there's more important things, I think, anyway, than absolute crispness in every single photo.
Absolutely.
You look at, for example, the cover of The Clash. I can't remember what London's Calling. The one where he's smashing the guitar. Yeah, exactly. And it's blurry. Shocking. Yeah, it's awful. It's blurry. The lighting's terrible. They had to really push the film in order to get an exposure because it's all grainy and stuff, but it's got emotion in it, and it isn't crisply focused in, but who cares, frankly?
It's 10% gear and 90%
idea,
ability. Nicely put. Yeah.
I like that. We'll have some T-shirts printed out. 10% gear, 90% idea.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We've got an order already.
We've got the merch in. Fantastic. Great stuff. Well, listen, Ollie, thanks very much for joining me.
Not at all.
Subscribe up at the top there, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
Thanks, mate.